So, we've been looking at cafe over the last 2 or 3 months. This is going to be a strategy about improving your vocabulary. This is something that is extremely important in grade 6, as a lot of what you are going to be marked on is reading comprehension. In order to improve our reading comprehension, we need to improve our vocabulary. Now, your vocabulary will help you with almost everything, with your writing, your reading, your speaking, and even your listening. So we all know we have something called the literacy pro test that we have to do. This is simply a vocabulary test. So improving your vocabulary is incredibly important. So we know E stands for expand vocabulary. So use dictionaries, thesauruses, and glossaries as tools. So when you are reading, write down words you do not understand. After you are done, you can use a dictionary, thesaurus, or friend to help you define the word. Then try and use that word in a few sentences and make note of it when you see it in other texts. So this basically means when we don't understand a word, we write it down. Preferably, we write it down in our personal dictionaries, because then we can use it for the school-wide write. So we write the word down, and it's not enough to translate it using Google Translate or looking up a definition of it, or even just looking up the synonyms and antonyms of it. We have to use that word in multiple sentences, and then we have to see it and recognize it in different texts that we read. So let's look at an example. So this is a reading passage. So we're going through our reading passage, and in our personal dictionaries, we see some words we don't really understand. For example, mush. It says mushers, but we'll just break down it into the base word. And maybe we don't know that word as well, competitive. So we now go on the internet, or we take out a book, thesaurus, like a paper thesaurus or dictionary, and we look up the words. So, mush, used as a command to tell dogs to start pulling a sled. Competitive, now we see some thesaurus.com synonyms, and we see our learnersdictionary.com definition for competitive. So now we've seen these words, and we'll just look at competitive because mush is a little bit of a fringe word we don't use much. So that's a dictionary, that's a thesaurus. And then we use it in a sentence. My brother is very competitive when he plays football. My friends and I are competitive when we play FIFA. So these words we have to use in sentences, and understanding that English can be rather silly at times and have one word with multiple meanings. So in order for us to understand that, we have to understand its context. And unfortunately, we all know that is the Literacy Pro test. We look at a reading passage, it's usually a little bit short, but if we don't understand the context of the word in question, we are going to get it wrong. So after all of this is done, we note it when we see that word again in other readings. So there it is right there. Make note of it and try to understand it more. We have to see the word many times for us to actually understand it and remember it. Okay, so now we're just going to look at something called concrete nouns. And concrete nouns are nouns that can be experienced by our five senses: see, smell, taste, touch, or hear. Concrete nouns are the opposite of abstract nouns. So when we're doing how-to essays or compare and contrast, we want to focus on using concrete nouns because these are mostly about describing things, and it's not a good idea to describe using very vague and like abstract concepts. So, for example, we have a soldier. That's a concrete noun. We could touch a soldier if we really wanted to. Peace. Well, a soldier could be a person who promotes peace, who enforces peace, but we can't touch peace. What is it? It's love and happiness, and we just can't actually put our hand on it, or we can't experience it with our five senses. So, for example, Ahmed was a conduit of peace. This is a very flashy sentence, but if we're using this in our compositions, maybe we simply want to say Ahmed was a soldier. Now, judge. A judge represents justice. Now, the enforcer of justice put the criminal in jail. Maybe we don't want to say that. Maybe we just want to say the judge put the criminal in jail. Again, it depends on what we are doing. Maybe in our stories, we want to be a little bit more flowery and abstract. But if we're doing descriptive writing, like how to or compare and contrast, we just want to tell them. We want to be very clear. Here's some other ones. So terrorist is the concrete noun. Terror would be an abstract. Friend, friendship. Artist, artistry. Well, that's it for today. I'll see you guys in class.